Dave Palumbo here with John Romano for an RX Muscle news update. John, as you've been reading this morning, both of us have been doing some studying on the Nathan DeAsha case. Nathan, obviously, back in 2017, was arrested for possession of steroids, and I guess the other day, he he admitted his guilt in court. He said that I don't even know how he put it. What did he actually say? He pled guilty to a single count of being concerned. I don't even know what that word means. It must be a UK term.
Well, concerned like associated.
In the supply of Class C steroids, which I would assume would be similar to a Class 3 drug in the United States, between March 1st and August 24th. And according to Judge David Evans, he adjourned the sentence until after the trial of the owners of Pain and Gain Gym, which is taking place this week. We will explain that in a second. DeAsha was released on bond. I don't know. They didn't say how much the bail was. He was released on bail and ordered a probation pre-sentence report, which is common. According to the judge, he said, quote, "I need to let Mr. DeAsha know that all options, including custody, will remain open," which means jail time, obviously. So for some reason, they're not sentencing him until after this case of these two people. The two people I'm talking about are Richard Green, 48 of King Edward Street in Barnstaple, and his wife Georgina, 41 of the same address. They own Pain and Gain Gym, I guess, and they are being charged, and they're in trial right now as we speak. Supposedly they found ecstasy in the gym, in the boiler room, they call it. My wife didn't even know what a boiler room was then. If you're from New York, you know what a boiler room is, right, John?
Yeah, they don't have those in some states.
No, they don't have it in Florida, that's for sure.
Well, a boiler room in California is a bunch of guys on a phone ripping off old people.
Well, they found MDMA, which is ecstasy, obviously pills. They found over 300 of those. They found cocaine, and they found 56,000 pounds, which I guess would be about, what, $70,000, something like that? Who knows what the conversion is anymore? I don't know.
56,000 pounds?
Yeah.
That's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I don't know if the dollar is stronger than the pound or the pounds flip back. So they're being charged on these gym owners. The question remains, why would they delay sentencing Nathan until after the trial of these two people? Supposedly Nathan was supplying them with drugs. That was the charge, I believe. Well,
I mean, delaying his sentencing pending the other two, his co-conspirators, would largely depend on if he's cooperating. We got to preface all of this by saying this is going on in England. Okay, so their judicial system is not the same, analogous or the same, comparable, whatever, to ours. So we would have to suppose, based on our lengthy experience with the law from Nathan's side of the table, what's going on there. So for them to be holding off sentencing of him pending the outcome, it's definitely say pending the outcome of the co-conspirator trial. Yeah. Well, that's going to depend. It sounds like they're going to use him as a trump card if they need him to testify against these two guys if the prosecution thinks they're not getting a conviction.
Oh, so you think they're not necessarily using him, but if they feel like the case is maybe not going their way, they might call him in and put him on the stand. Why wouldn't they use him anyway? I mean, if he's in.
First of all, let's take the name Nathan DeAsha out of this, because I don't want this to be ad hominem. We're not bashing Nathan. I don't want to cast any aspersions on Nathan.
No, it sucks that he's in this situation, obviously.
Yeah, it's terrible, but let's just take it as a case. John Doe.
Yeah.
Okay. So why wouldn't he's pled guilty, correct? Okay. Yes. He's awaiting sentencing, pre-sentence report. His co-conspirators trial is going on right now, and they're not sentencing Nathan, John Doe. Okay. Why? Well, They may need him to be a witness for the case against the co-conspirators, for which he will be granted some form of relief in his sentence for his cooperation, or they're using him as a confidential informant for other cases. The other steroid cases or the money laundering cases, whatever. I mean, it could be anything. So I think that may be a little bit on the foolish side, considering he's such a visible figure. I mean, who's going to trust Nathan DeAsha on the inside of a drug deal when the papers have been full of him, with a case?
Right. So, Isn't in England the onus on the person? Aren't you assumed to be guilty until you prove yourself innocent? Isn't that how it works there?
No, that's Napoleonic.
No, I thought that's in the UK. Isn't that?
I don't know. It may. I don't think so, but it may. I don't know anything about
that
UK
from school.
law. I know nothing about it.
I thought from school. Now, here's interesting. Nathan took responsibility, obviously, and pled guilty. These two went to trial. I mean, no one in their right mind would do that in the United States, right? You don't go to trial on if they come to your gym, and in your gym that you own, in your boiler room, you have a safe full of pills, and stuff like that. Now they're actually saying these two, at least the guy is.
He had cocaine, quite a large amount, over an ounce,
right?
Over 300 ecstasy pills,
right?
Now in my day, 300 ecstasy pills would last an awful long time.
Yeah. He's saying it's personal use. That's what his argument is.
So what we're arguing, the personal use argument is kind of, unless the guy's putting it away for a lifetime, a hardcore cokehead could probably blow through an ounce in a few weekends.
Yeah.
But then you got to add X on top of that, and then steroids. It makes an odd mixture,
with 55,000 pounds of money with it also, which they're saying was for an addition on the gym, So
look,
I mean, it is possible. Look, people stash money, with drugs, they do.
But you got to use the duck analogy here. It sounds like a duck, looks like a duck, tastes like a duck. Right. Chances are might be a duck. Okay, so you got a big safe in a boiler room, and it's filled with ecstasy, cocaine, money, and steroids. When you put all that together, all that's missing is the scale. I mean, they're obviously money's coming in, drugs are going out, right. and that's the box.
Let me read you this. The couple's home was searched, and Mrs. Green was found with a similar note with figures adding up to 53,000. I guess she must have had like a ledger,
This is the bank.
Keys on Green's keyring opened the boiler room at the gym and nearby Dayton storage unit. The boxes containing thousands of pounds worth of illegal steroids were found in the boiler room, alongside a Tesco carrier bag stuffed full of bundles of cash, adding up to more than 56,000. So it wasn't like it was stacked. It was just thrown in there, like they couldn't even count it. It was coming in so fast.
But she had it on the ledger.
The 30 grams of cocaine were found at the storage unit. It was highly pure with a street value of 1,500 pounds. There was also a small amount next to a straw, which had Mr. Green's DNA on it. So he was using the stuff. So it's possible the cocaine might have been his.
So he drives over to the storage unit, okay, opens the garage door, does a bump, okay, and leaves. Come on.
Now this is the stupid
stuff from the UK is really funny.
Yeah, here's the crazy part. Evidently, Nathan was receiving the packages to his home address. The delivery came from an address linked to DeAsha, and one of his fingerprints was found on the bag of steroids. It appears there was a huge market for drugs like this. So he was receiving this stuff in his own name, to his own address. That's where the stupidity comes in, I think, on his part.
Back in the day, we used to use former Mr. Olympia names on the packages. You get a package from, whoever to whoever, but I don't want to name names. But no, that's stupid. Look, it sounds to me like this is not personal use, a personal use stash.
Well, let me stop you before you go on. There was a text exchange between this guy and his wife. showing that he was asking her if she could bring 1/8 of an ounce of cocaine, which they agreed to sell for 300 pounds. That's pretty damning. Text messages in today's world, John, kill these people. They get nailed on the text messages.
Social media and the internet itself are killing these people. All of the cases.
You can't be a good criminal anymore, John. Come on.
No, you got to post. You know, it's all of the cases we're following now are heavily dependent on social media.
Yeah.
All of them. I mean, every one of them that we're looking at right now are social media dependent.
Well, think about it. We're going to find out what went on between Sean Roden and that girl in their text exchanges. No one knows.
And you got Larry Wheels. He's got his ex-girlfriend's got a whole bunch of social media posts and recordings.
Right, now she's going, that's another whole video we can do on Larry Wheels' ex-girlfriend is trying to bash him, although she sounds more like a disgruntled, ex-girlfriend that, was kicked to the curb more than anything. But who knows, Well,
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but getting back to this Nathan DeAsha thing. So here's the issue. So let's say this case gets. I can't imagine these two getting off. There's no way these two are getting off. It's just a matter of what they're going to be sentenced to, pretty much. It seems like, right?
Right.
All right. Once that's settled and they're sentenced, what happens to Nathan? Does he get a letter? I mean, is he cooperating? I mean, that's the question. Is he awaiting sentencing because they want to see if they're able to convict these two based on evidence he gave? I don't know. It seems like there's nothing here that they're coming up in court where they're saying, according to the testimony of Mr. DeAsha, they're saying they got text messages, they found the stuff in a boiler room, they got a storage unit. I haven't heard a mention of Nathan DeAsha yet in their case.
So far, the trial of these two is independent of Nathan DeAsha. They haven't brought him in.
Right.
It just brings a couple things that would come to mind. One is if it's odd that they would go to trial. Normally you plead out. Then again, this is England. They may do things differently over there. So, here you really don't want to go to trial. You really want to take a deal unless you are so sure that you are going to win. You have evidence and it's a slam dunk. And if that was the case, you probably wouldn't be prosecuted.
Right.
So, it's a crapshoot. But what I would say is they're either they're waiting to see if they need DeAsha as a witness. Mm-hmm. B, they're waiting to sentence DeAsha based on the outcome of what if they find these two not guilty?
Yeah.
These two not guilty, it was personal use. What's Nathan doing saying I was selling it for him? So
I would have to imagine his testimony would have to be relevant,
It would have to be relevant. And if these two get off, he's pretty much stuck holding the bag. Yeah. So and then the third thing I would think of is they're reserving the use of Nathan as a confidential informant, like I said before, for other cases. Mm-hmm. Unless it's just the process of the UK judicial system to wait until everybody's done and then sentence them all together. Sure. I don't know.
Now, here's the question that everyone's asking. This is the case. We kind of laid out what's going on here. We have a lot of details now that these other two are on trial. I think a lot more details are coming out. This happened, by the way, back in 2017. So we know that this judicial process takes a long time to actually come to fruition. So this is not something that just happened. But here's the question. Given the fact that Nathan is pleading guilty, to receiving steroids in the mail, whatever, should there be any sanctions against him, like there has been for Sean Roden, who hasn't even been convicted, hasn't admitted to anything, claims he's innocent, has only been arrested. Should there be sanctions and prevent Nathan from doing the Olympia because of this, John?
That would be probably the most hypocritical thing on the face of the earth. You let all the drug users compete, but the dealer, he can't, Yeah. So, I mean, I hate to say this, but we all know, and it's the pink elephant in the room, the 8,000-pound gorilla, whoever you want to choose. Professional bodybuilding is 100% drug dependent. So you're going to draw a fine line between the drug user and the drug dealer? I think that's...
It's not a violent crime either. I think you have to delineate between violent crimes. If you get a DWI, I mean, should you not be able to do the Olympia because you're driving drunk? I mean,
That's a
it's
very
irresponsible,
good point.
but it's not like you're harming anyone. Well, you could be harming someone, I guess, but you're not. It's not like you're domestically beating anyone. You haven't raped anyone. You haven't killed any. I mean, I think there's got to be a line of conduct.
Well, I mean, a rape case, typically in America, you're looking at 50 years.
Yeah.
An aggravated rape and could be life. I mean, depending on if it's your first offense, your second offense. I don't know. DeAsha also has the unfortunate lineage in his past of having incited a riot. He's been in trouble before, so the cops could have a hard-on for him too. We don't know.
Right. 2011, he posted something on Facebook, saying you should attack the cops and stand up for yourself. And it was, I'm sure it was an immature, stupid thing he did, but
that counts.
It counts. And you know what? When you tell people to attack the cops are not happy about that.
Right. No. I mean, you see that in New York happening right now.
Yeah.
So, I think they're going to have. I think it would be a wait and see situation for the adjudication of the case. But as far as the and I've learned this reading all of the stuff online about the Sean Roden case. People have to understand that the IFBB and the Olympia are two separate animals.
Right.
One is the promoter, one is the federation. The federation, even in the Roden case, has taken no position. Okay, nor should they, because they don't have any skin in the game. Yeah. Now, the promoter is the one that has the image issue. The promoter has to determine: do I want a charged rapist or a drug dealer who's pled guilty competing or representing my brand? Mm-hmm. Now, they could very easily say, look, rape is a far worse charge than dealing steroids. And I mean, it's just an unfortunate luck of the draw. Steroids are part of our game. It's part of the deal. You either get caught using them or caught selling them. It's the same thing. And I don't think you can play one against the other and say one is worse than the other. So I think they're right in leaving that alone. I think as far as it looks, as far as women's issues go, the violent nature of what a rape case could entail, whether or not it's a woman scorned, it's true, it's false, or whatever, it's a charge, and it's a formal charge with an indictment. And that being the case, I think the promoter makes a determination on that. Nathan DeAsha is caught up in an unfortunate situation that any bodybuilder could find themselves caught up in. And it's just not that bad. So it doesn't insult a group of people. It's not against women. It's not against men. It's not against blacks. It's not against Chinese. It's you're dealing steroids and ecstasy and cocaine, which is they don't all go together. But in our industry, they do. I mean,
Right. I think Nathan was only really caught for the steroids. I think the ecstasy and cocaine, those two got someplace else from another dealer.
That's even more fishy. Yeah. Okay, so the bodybuilder gets stuck with the steroids, and then the ecstasy and the cocaine goes where?
If you're gonna go buy your drugs, you got to have your right people. You got to go to the bodybuilder for the steroids, and you go get your street dealers for your other stuff.
Unless you go to Brighton Beach, and those Russians, they got it all. It's a one-stop shop.
Then you got to stop at the AIDS patients for your GH, It's unfortunate Nathan's caught up in this. I hope it won't, because it's so close to the Olympia with 7 weeks to go. I hope it's not going to, inhibit that. But John, if this guy's out on bail, is he going to be able to go to, get on an airplane and go to America?
I highly doubt it. I mean, again, British law, I don't know anything about it. In America, when you're, as I know, when you're out on bail, you surrender your passport. So
in some cases.
I had to surrender mine. I don't know about you, but I had to surrender mine.
I actually went to Mexico while I was still. I couldn't go after I got convicted, but while the case was still pending, I was fine. Now it's interesting because the case should be settled, I would think, by the time the Olympia comes around, because in 7 weeks, I mean, this trial should be over in a couple of days. They're going to be sentenced, and then I would think Nathan would be sentenced right after that. So
unless they're using him for other things,
in which case he'll never be sentenced. In which case he'll be able to do whatever he wants theoretically.
Nathan, if you're listening, I am not accusing you of this. I'm saying this is all supposition. I have no idea. This is John Doe. Unfortunately, you're. I just want to be careful with that.
Yeah,
how these guys are.
Yeah, no. But look, we all hope. Look, we know whatever he did was something that any bodybuilder could have got caught up in. He was just stupid enough to put his address and his name on the package. But the bottom line is any bodybuilder can get caught up in that, and it's unfortunate. And this is not something that look. I went to jail.
Which to your point, which further separates it from a rape charge, because any bodybuilder could find themselves. Sure. Just like you said, anybody.
The squeakiest clean guy can get caught up in the same exact thing that he got caught up in.
Exactly. The cleanest, squeakiest, cleanest bodybuilder we know could happen to them. So it's just the way it is. It's part of the deal.
He should have sent the package to Bleckman's address under Bleckman's name.
At least I don't know what it is. I didn't order anything from the UK. I swear. I'm not juicing. Test me.
Well, it's obvious.
I know I look like I'm juicing, but I'm not juicing.
There's boy toys on the side, to keep those glutes striated.
That's
right. Dave, you're frozen.
I'm not frozen. You're frozen.
It's a priceless picture.
All right, you're back.
Okay,
so,
you're back.
Let's talk a little bit for a quick second. This is a developing story about Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels is one of the strongest men in the world. I actually just put up a video. He was in one of our Bros vs. Pros back in 2016 before anyone even knew who he was. His name was Larry Williams back then, and then obviously he's got the nickname Wheels. He's been traveling all over the world, he was in Iceland for a while training for strongman. Now he's in Dubai. He was living in California. I guess he had this girlfriend. It was one of these tumultuous type of things. I don't know if he was cheating on her or not. She says she was. She put out a video just maybe earlier today basically saying that, he was, violent with her and that he was verbally abusive and that from all the cheating that, was going on, she's all mentally scarred. Yeah, you watched the video. I watched the video. It seemed more like she was a scorned, woman. I actually felt bad for her at the end of the video. The police came. She had audio taped some of the exchanges with. They were yelling at each other. Supposedly he was hitting her. However, he called the police on her because she had a knife. The police came. They looked her over. No one got arrested. So I tend to believe that he probably didn't do anything. Where he damaged her in any way, because I'm sure the police would have arrested him at that point. If anything, she was the one holding the knife when he came. What's your whole take on this thing? You think that people are jumping on this bandwagon now after the whole Roden thing?
Well, like you said, I watched that whole 17-minute diatribe, and it was disturbing. I mean, I felt bad for the girl.
Yeah.
But there's so many components to a situation like this. I don't know Larry. I don't know what kind of guy he is. I don't know anything about him. Yeah. Okay. I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about their relationship. On the surface, any girl shopping for a mate in our industry would do really well to Google the guy first, okay, and just kind of find out a little about his background, because our industry is full of narcissistic people who have all kinds of issues, and is what drives them to bodybuild in the first place.
Sure.
Okay, so the other things that are kind of weird is that she says in the tape that he's cheated on me from day one. We're in a 5-year relationship, and he cheated on me from day one. My first question to that is, if he's cheating on you from day one, why do you spend 5 years with him?
Right.
I understand you've been together for 20 years, and then he starts cheating on you, and you got 20 years together, 3 kids, a house, 2 dogs, and a cat, and it's not so easy to break up. You start going out with the guy Tuesday, Wednesday, you find out he's cheating on you. What the hell are you still doing with him?
Right. Exactly.
So that's number one. Yeah. Number two is, look at his past. If he is a violent, abusive, womanizing player, he didn't start doing that the day he met you.
Yeah.
Okay? Somebody somewhere is going to have a story about him, and it's probably going to be on social media.
Well, I'm sure that's what she's hoping by putting up that video. Now, I have an inside source who actually tipped me off about I didn't even know the video was up, but I have a person very close to Larry who contacted me about this, and is disturbed obviously because they don't want Larry has a pretty squeaky clean reputation out there, and he prefaced to me that this whole thing went down. Larry is the one who called the police because he was worried that if she calls the police, and they see this huge 270-pound, 6'2" guy there, they're going to ask questions later and they're going to arrest him. And he was the one being, threatened with a knife. Now, if she felt that scared, he actually told her, if you listen to the tape, leave, get out of here, and she didn't leave.
Right.
So if she's that scared for her life, why didn't she just get out of the house and call the police? I don't understand it.
Nobody acts rationally in the heat of the moment. It's one of the reasons why we have so many legal cases.
Right. But guys don't beat girls up and then call the cops. You know what I mean?
And it's rare. It's really rare for the cops to come to the scene of a domestic dispute and see that and leave everybody there.
I know, especially
you got a 275-pound guy with a knife. Broken furniture.
No, not him. He didn't have the knife. She had the knife.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 275-pound guy, a girl with a knife, broken furniture on the floor. Yeah. And, everything looks okay. We're going to leave. I can't picture that happening in any precinct anywhere in America. So, the threshold for separating the two is extremely low. A girl you cannot even be home. The girl can call the cops and say, my boyfriend's beating me. They will come to the diner and find you and arrest you and take you in. Okay? Yeah. You don't even have to be home. Yeah. So for that story to be, the cops came, giant man, enraged woman with a knife, scene of evidence of a domestic dispute, and they're going to leave both people in the house. I just can't picture that.
Yeah. Now she implied, if you heard it, that being a black woman had something to do with the fact that they didn't believe her. Do you think if there was a white woman there with the knife, do you think it would have changed anything?
With a black man? Yeah. Absolutely. Unfortunately, absolutely. But look, we are living in such a fucked up time right now with respect to this shit, and it's nauseating. It really makes me sick. Especially in our industry, because of all the other communities in the world, ours has always been the most colorblind. So I am just appalled at this right now. It's like the cancer from outside has been seeping into us, and it's not right. The fact that she would even say that is terrible. So. The cops.
But you're saying it's true.
It's unfortunate, but I wouldn't put it past them. I'm not saying it's true or it's false. I'm saying if you told me that, would I be surprised? Hell no. I would not.
Crazy. All right, let's just finish up this little update with. We got to talk about Jeremy Buendia. I kind of put it off, but Jeremy went on his social media and put up a video apologizing to everyone for his actions, that he's got anger management issues, he's got anger issues, he's going to be taking anger management courses. He still denies that he physically did anything to any of these girls, that he put his hands on any of them whatsoever. He said he was verbally abusive. He apologized for that, and but he says that he will, Jeremy likes to sue people, so he's going to sue, whatever, take action against all these people who are claiming that he physically abused these girls. Now, he was never arrested for any of this, so I'm sure the cops have been involved multiple times and no one's ever arrested him. So, once again, I don't know what that means, but it's terrible when you see a 4-time Mr. Olympia that's going through something like this. I mean, this kid obviously has some issues. He has anger issues. He even admitted it when I interviewed him on one of my shows that he had a tough childhood. How do you handle a situation like this? I mean, he also announced, John, that he was leaving his sponsors voluntarily. So I know one of them dropped him, but I have a feeling they probably all were going to drop him in light of all the stuff that came out on him and all these people who are coming on.
Yeah, Hani dropped him about a year ago.
Yeah.
For And then was it Steele? What's the new
Steele
one?
just dropped him, and then he has he's a marketable guy, and he's stepping away, which I think is smart. I think he made a smart move. I'm sure his lawyer advised him to do that, but it was a smart move. Let him get help.
This one is a lot closer to the Sean Romano, the English dude, DeAsha. So it's the sponsors, I think, or he and the sponsors, I think, are prudent in distance because it's good for the companies.
Yeah.
As far as he's not competing. I guess is he retired or not?
I don't know if he's retired. He's definitely taking the year off though.
So there's no pressure on the federation or the promoter to ban him because it's a moot point. So I would like to see how they would have played it if he was getting ready for the Olympia this year. That would be something. But in this case.
But he wasn't arrested, John. He wasn't arrested. That's the key.
He was not arrested. However, he has a long history of acting improperly, and he's banned. He can't even go to a show in California. He's banned in the entire state.
I know. I don't know exactly all the details of that, but I love Tamer and his brother. The El Guntis are awesome over there, and if they don't get along with him, there's got to be something wrong because those guys are solid people.
Right. And again, it's your image with respect to your position on women's issues, and that's a hot button issue right now.
Terrible issue right now, and I think we're going to see more women coming out. They feel like empowered now to speak about this, and if they are being abused, and you guys are then you should speak about this. You shouldn't hold it in. But I think now we're going to see a bevy of guys that are going to be getting implicated by these women. I'm afraid to see who the next person is going to be.
Well,
look, John, you and I know people personally in this industry who are physically abusive, probably to their relationships.
For sure, and this is it's a highly there's a lot of narcissists in our ranks, and
you can be a narcissist, and that doesn't mean you have to beat the crap out of your girlfriend.
But it's typically narcissists, or typically wife beaters are narcissists. So it's it's the duck quacking again. So, I think it's this. Look, this could, like you just said, this could turn into a real ball of wax here because you're talking to there's a lot of guys in this business that are short fused. They're jacked up. They got all kinds of issues, and they snap. They snap in traffic lights. They snap all over the place, in line at the bank, everywhere. So, to start as this thing rolls down and women start feeling compelled to come out of the woodwork, this guy abused me. This guy abused me. This guy abused me. It's going to become, as long as it's not a whole he said, she said thing. This girl that's currently, accusing Buendia has photos, texts, phone calls. She's got bruises. She's got a lot of evidence.
But we don't know if the bruises came from him or if the two. I've seen women and guys like just they fight. They push each other. They wrestle around. I mean, it's not right, but it's like a part of their relationship almost. I mean, she could have, anything could have happened. We don't know that Jeremy punched her in the face, I don't think anything like that happened. However, his temper is well documented as being out of control.
And I didn't mean to imply that that there was video or evidence of him actually physically abusing.
There is none. There's none.
I'm saying she has some evidence that could be compelling if it was looked at in a certain light. Right. But yes, he has a well-documented history of bad behavior. And I don't think it's a big stretch to include, physicality with his women. And it's something that, these guys have got to be conscious of because especially now in this climate, all it takes is one little sentence interpreted the wrong way, and you have a giant issue here.
I'm scared that we're going to get like another Cosby. We're going to find out, some hero of ours in bodybuilding was slipping Mickeys into women's drinks, and it could happen. You know, that I don't want to see scandal hit us. You know.
Well, then you're going to have the inevitability of that could then put a lot of pressure on guys like Dan Solomon, who are promoting, you know, the Olympia and other popular attention. Who's going to be the police force now in our industry to determine who gets to be admitted into these shows and who doesn't, based on the severity and the amount of evidence associated to their accusations?
I have a great idea. I think that should be your job. I think that Dan should hire you to go through all the evidence, and you could make determinations and recommendations to AMI as to who could compete at the Olympia and who can't.
Oh boy! I could make some money on the side doing that, right?
You love to go through all the documents and all that kind of stuff and hash it out.
I would definitely enjoy that. I would not enjoy saying, "Hey, look, this guy can't compete." I wouldn't like that at all.
No, I know,
but
we can't. You cannot, under any circumstances, champion or endorse behavior like that. So it has to be sanctioned in some way or another, you know, and because if you let one guy get away with it, you know, then it sends a message that it's okay. And I understand why AMI did the thing with Sean Roden. It's just it's a blemish on the industry. I hope he's cleared. I've said this before. I did a video before. I said I pray. I like the guy. I hope he didn't do anything. But if he did, I hope he goes to jail too.
He was on the background of our first studio. Come on, we love the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, you made another great point. This is your day. The federation, the promoters are going to have to address this issue as an urgent, instant matter. They cannot let this lie and all of a sudden these people start coming out of the woodwork, cases start being, they have to proactively get in front of this and establish a public statement of code of conduct, code of ethics, and substantiate the fact that they will not tolerate this. This is not going to be, this is unacceptable behavior. Anybody accused, charged, or in any living next door to somebody that this is going on with is going to pay have to pay the price of association or involvement with this prior to anything being adjudicated. It is the conduct. It is the image and the conduct of the individual that must be exemplary to represent the zenith of our sport. So AMI, the IFBB, the NPC, all of the other big promoters around the country are going to have to get together, and they're going to have to establish a code of conduct, an established code of conduct, where it is stipulated publicly up in front that they're not going to tolerate this. And if anybody gets wrapped up in something like this, hey, look, we told you. Keep your nose clean. You didn't keep your nose clean, but I didn't do it. Doesn't matter. You were involved to the point where you got accused of it. If that's the case, I've always said this. Any bodybuilder getting ready for a big show, fire your girlfriend. It's nothing but trouble. There's nothing that she can do for you that you can't find a service to pay you, that you could pay to provide you your meals, your drive, your massage, whatever you need. Yeah. You don't need a girlfriend. And it's the worst thing that you could possibly have getting ready for a big show. Fire her, get rid of her, compete single, and get rid of that. Finish your life with that. Get rid of that part of your life. Sow your wild oats, then look for a mate. Yeah. You have no business wrapping a girl around this whole thing, and it's only going to lead. I mean, there's a handful of cases. Oh, this girl is so great. She's in my corner. I couldn't do it without her. Blah, 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 blah. That's 5%. The rest of them, get rid of her, because it's only going to be a problem.
John Romano's advice on relationships: just don't have them. That's all. That'll solve the problem.
Simple. And if you're that fierce, if you're so vicious that you're going for the title of your life, for the top of the top, the last thing you need is a girlfriend. the last. It's not even on the list.
The problem, John, is these guys are too insecure to have no girlfriend. They need to have that, like, when they come home, they have to have someone there for them. You know,
and they need somebody to make their protein shake and cook their chicken and carry
just
their
to be there so they feel good about themselves. You know what I mean?
It's a sometimes it's a sick little synergy. You know, it doesn't even. You look at it and you go, God, they're even wearing the same kind of clothes. You know, it's just not right.
Right.
And but this industry above football, baseball, bowling, chess, you name it, we attract this kind of dysfunction. And for some reason, I don't know why, it could be the combination of insecurity, narcissism, prior abuse, whatever, we attract this stuff. Yeah. And I think because we do, and because of the current climate right now, the like I said before, the federations and the promoters need to be proactive with this, and the participants themselves. You got to be rational about this stuff and say, look, I am in an explosive relationship with a lunatic. Okay, if you can say that, I got a friend who says, I wish I could punch my wife in the face.
Get out.
If you say that, you have get out and don't get ready for a bodybuilding show with a wife you want to punch in the face when everything is good. Yeah. You know? Take the carbs out, you know, add Anadrol and Tren. Then you're talking about, you know, chalk lines on the concrete, you know, outside the window. This is the recipe for disaster.
But you said it right. There needs to be a conduct. There is no conduct clause in the IFBB right now. We need to have a conduct clause. People have to have a responsibility to act a certain way and be accountable for their actions. And otherwise, you can't compete in the IFBB. That should be, it's imperative.
It is and it needs to be.
It's like telling your kid, hey, if you don't behave today when we go to the supermarket, you're not going to in the pool when you get home. That's all. If you don't behave, you can't play in the Olympia. That's the way it goes.
Right? And yes, it needs to be publicly stated up in front.
Yeah, of course.
Especially now.
Yep.
Especially now.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Well, John, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Obviously, there's been a lot going on in the world. We're going to have to keep these updates coming. I think we're going to start doing these regularly because there's just too much drama going on. And I feel better. I feel it's like I had a therapy session with you because we kind of talked it out and we kind of aired everything that was out there. And then people can make their own impressions. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with John Romano for an RX Muscle News Update.